When it comes to desserts, few things are as universally loved as frozen treats. Whether you're enjoying a cone on a hot summer day or grabbing a pint from the freezer after a long week, ice cream is one of those comforts people can't resist. But in recent years, another cold star has been stealing attention: gelato. You've probably seen it in specialty shops, displayed in colorful tubs with spatulas instead of scoops, and maybe even wondered, isn't this just fancy ice cream? Well, not exactly. While ice cream and gelato may look similar, they're not the same thing. Their differences lie in history, ingredients, texture, and even how they're served. Let's dive into what makes them distinct, right here on History of Simple Things. Ice cream as we know it has a long and somewhat scattered history. Its roots go back to ancient times when people in China, Persia, and even Rome enjoyed icy desserts flavored with honey or fruit. But the ice cream we recognize today really took shape in Europe, especially in France and England, during the 16th and 17th centuries. By the time it crossed over to America in the 18th century, it was already a favorite treat of the wealthy. Fast forward, and industrialization made ice cream widely available to everyone. Today it's not just a dessert, it's an industry worth billions. Gelato, on the other hand, has its home firmly in Italy. The word gelato literally means frozen in Italian, but the product itself has deeper cultural roots. Italian gelato is said to date back to the Renaissance period, with a man named Bernardo Buontalenti often credited for perfecting the art in Florence in the 1500s. Gelato has always been tied to Italian craftsmanship, something artisanal, rooted in tradition, and made to be savored rather than mass-produced. While it has gained popularity worldwide, especially in the last few decades, in Italy, gelato is still considered a staple of daily life. Now let's break down the core differences. The first major one is ingredients. Both ice cream and gelato use the same base building blocks: milk, cream, sugar, and flavorings. But the proportions change everything. Ice cream typically contains a higher amount of cream and often egg yolks as a stabilizer. This gives it that rich, custard-like taste we're familiar with. Gelato, on the other hand, leans heavily on milk and uses less cream and usually no egg yolks at all. This difference in fat content is one of the biggest distinctions. Ice cream's fat content usually ranges between 10 to 20%, while gelato's is closer to 4 to 8%. You might think, so gelato is healthier, right? Not necessarily. It does have less fat, which means flavors aren't muted by creaminess, so you often taste the ingredients more directly, like pistachio that actually tastes like pistachio or strawberry that tastes like fresh fruit. However, gelato is often denser and can have more sugar per serving. So while it's lower in fat, it's not always the lighter option people assume. The takeaway? Both can be indulgent, and neither one is a guilt-free snack if you're eating big portions. Another major difference lies in texture, and this comes down to how each treat is churned. Ice cream is whipped at a faster speed, which incorporates more air into the mixture. This process, known as overrun, makes ice cream lighter, fluffier, and increases its volume. In fact, ice cream can contain up to 50% air. Gelato, on the other hand, is churned much more slowly. This means less air is folded in, resulting in a denser, silkier texture. That's why when you take a spoonful of gelato, it feels richer and smoother on your tongue, even though it has less fat than ice cream. Temperature is another subtle but important difference. Ice cream is usually served colder, around -20 degrees Celsius, which helps it hold its structure. Gelato, however, is stored and served at a slightly warmer temperature, closer to -12 degrees. This softer serving condition means gelato melts faster in your mouth, enhancing the intensity of flavors. It's not meant to be eaten in big spoonfuls straight from the freezer, but rather savored slowly, the way Italians intended. Because of these differences, the flavor experience is unique. Ice cream's higher fat content gives it a creamy, sometimes buttery mouthfeel, but it can also coat your tongue, slightly muting the taste of the added flavors. Gelato, being lower in fat and served warmer, allows those flavors to shine through more directly. A chocolate gelato might taste like pure cocoa richness, while ice cream gives you a softer, creamier version of that chocolate. Neither is better, they're just different experiences. It's also worth pointing out that ice cream and gelato have very different cultural associations. In the United States and many other countries, ice cream is tied to nostalgia. Childhood summers, ice cream trucks, sundaes at diners. It's a comfort food that often comes in pints for sharing at home or cones at the park. Gelato, in contrast, is more of a social and artisanal experience. In Italy, people don't usually buy big tubs of gelato for the freezer. They stroll to a local gelateria, pick their flavors, and enjoy it fresh. Gelato is as much about the ritual and craftsmanship as it is about the dessert itself. So, ice cream or gelato? Which one wins? The answer really depends on your mood. If you want something rich, indulgent, and creamy with lots of mix-ins like cookies, brownies, or fudge swirls, ice cream is your go-to. If you're craving something smoother, more intense in flavor, and slightly lighter on the palate, gelato is the way to go. The fun part is that you don't have to choose forever. There's room for both. A hot summer barbecue might call for ice cream cones, while a romantic evening stroll in Florence practically demands gelato. At the end of the day, ice cream and gelato are cousins in the frozen dessert family, similar enough to confuse people, but different enough to give each its own identity. Ice cream is creamier, colder, and airier. Gelato is denser, smoother, and packs more flavor punch per bite. Both are delicious, both have rich histories, and both have carved out a place in our hearts. So next time you're standing in front of a freezer aisle or peeking into a gelato display case, you'll know exactly what sets these two apart. And honestly, why not treat yourself to both? Life's too short to pick just one frozen delight. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our other bingeable channels. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.